Many people have laughed out loud at co-founder Rick Harrison and fellow cast member Austin Chumlee Russell's interesting interactions and funny chat on the popular reality TV show Pawn Stars. However, rumors say that their friendship off-screen is not at all friendly. Let us look into the reasons Rick won't talk to Chumlee when they're not shooting Pawn Stars. The show has been on for 21 seasons now after 15 years. The 15th season ended on June 28, 2023, with the last episode airing on the History Channel. After the last episode, a new show called Pawn Stars Do America was made. It began in 2022 and ran for 2 seasons. The story was about Rick, Corey, and Chumlee looking for cool old things all over the country. Late in 2023, the last show of the first season aired. The second season began early the next year. Also, they started shooting season 22 of Pawn Stars in April. The new season has the same plot as the previous ones. It's still about the Harrison family and their job at the Las Vegas, Nevada gold and silver pawn shop. In essence, Rick, Corey, and Chumlee check the show's items for worth and history. This is why people love the show so much. For years, Rick and Chumlee, among others, have been doing such a great job in their different main roles. With what they know and can do, each person keeps things going in the best way possible for them. Chumlee and Rick's son, Corey Harrison, have been friends since they were in the 5th and 6th grades. The tone of their meeting wasn't friendly. They fought, which was the result of a fight. It turned out that Corey's sister thought Chumlee had been mean to her when she wasn't. Something they found out later was a case of identity theft. Someone else had picked on Corey's sister, not Chumlee. But the two boys did meet, and that was the beginning of a bond that would last a lifetime. When he was 21, Chumlee began working at the gold and silver pawn shop. He first worked as an intern in the pawn shop, and then he was hired as a pawnbroker. Before getting ready to film the first season of Pawn Stars in July 2009, he worked there for 5 years. When Rick chose to buy a Quiznos, Chumlee told him that he used to work as an assistant manager at McDonald's. Chumlee was asked to run it, and he did so while also starting to work at the pawn shop. He worked hard at both jobs for 135 days straight, without taking a day off. He eventually started working full-time at the shop, at the same time that the show became more famous, and the rest is history. When it began in July 2009, the show became very famous very quickly, drawing in more and more people. A lot of interesting things with long-lost memories end up in the shop, where their stories can be told to more people. Because it was so popular, other shows were made with different themes from the original. The main point of the show was to teach people important historical facts while having fun. Pawn Stars did this by making sure that workers knew enough about the items being looked at to get by. They also had experts on the show who gave their opinions on some of the things and shared useful information about them. But that was just the part where you learned important history facts, which could get dull. They needed interesting people to make the show interesting. Chumlee is the perfect person for that job. The boy was very friendly and outgoing. He was a sure of himself guy. Besides that, they knew a lot about pop culture. The last part was very important to his role on the show because it made him a fan favorite right away. He wasn't just interested in comic books, he also gave the show a young, approachable feel. At first, the Harrisons didn't put him in the spotlight right away, he stayed in the background. Chumlee, on the other hand, was the person who brought fun to the show. On the show, he plays the funny guy who tells jokes and acts like he's not good at his job, which sometimes makes people think less of him. Fun treat for fans, Chumlee has said that he is good at pinball machines. Since he has worked at the store for 5 years before the first season of the show, it's clear that he knows more than he says. Chumlee became very famous much faster than anyone thought it would. Corey and Rick weren't afraid to show how much they knew about the business. He asked them interesting, one-of-a-kind questions that kept people watching. It wasn't a surprise that people liked seeing how he reacted when new antiques came into the shop. His sincere desire to learn about and connect with the history of some of the things was interesting to see. He always looked for the best deals for the shop because he was a smart businessman. On the other hand, Rick, his boss, helped open the shop and has worked there most of his life. He also started the show. At that time, he was in charge of half of the work that had to be done to make the pawn shop business bigger and better. Rick had a plan for the show and worked hard to make it happen. He was, of course, very happy with how well the show did and how much people liked it. Rick and Chumlee were interviewed about why Pawn Stars was still so popular and what it was like to work in the most famous pawn shop in the world. Chumlee made a joke that Rick would tell him what to do and he would act like he wasn't hearing. Rick laughed and said that they get along well at work. He thinks Chumlee is a good person who works hard, even though he leaves for no apparent reason sometimes. There was no doubt that Chumlee knew how to make Rick laugh and make things funny. People said that their energy was natural and real, which is why they like watching the show. For me, it's like seeing them as they really are. Since Rick and Chumlee have worked together for almost 20 years, they have a close bond that feels like family. Chumlee also said that the show had been a lot of fun in that chat. They'd been having a great time and he thinks it shows in the episodes. He also said that the last few seasons had been great and that the fun they were having kept getting better. During the chat, the two seemed to be getting along well with each other. At least that's what fans thought it looked like. People started to notice that Rick and Chumlee weren't always friendly, even though it looked like they were on the show or doing something related to the show. It was even more clear when they weren't on camera. Fans began to wonder what was going on between them. Since they had never talked about this issue while working together for almost 20 years, different ideas began to form. As seen on the show, Rick had said that the shop had so many different items that it was impossible to remember them all. Chumlee also said it was hard to remember everything because there were so many shows and things. Fans said that Chumlee had done a lot of work to get more of these things on the show. To be honest, some of Chumlee's deals were good and some were bad. In an episode about one of those bad deals, Rick made fun of Chumlee's conversation with a seller about a valuable coin she wanted to sell. Fans got a glimpse of how Rick really felt about Chumlee, and they didn't like it. A woman named Julie was trying to sell a rare coin in the show, and Chumlee was there to handle the deal, just like Rick would have. However, it was surprising that Rick stepped in and took over, even though Chumlee seemed to have everything under control. He even called in an expert to check the coin before offering to buy it. The valuable coin was thought to be real, and a price was worked out. Fans could see that Chumlee was trying to take back control of the deal from Rick, but Rick wasn't ready to give up. The seller finally left without selling. He was mad at Rick and called him a tightwad. Rick told him, "You want to be a manager, but you'll never understand this business." Afterwards, Rick talked to the camera, one-on-one, about the bad sale. "If I weren't here, Chumlee would have to figure out this coin sale on his own. That would be the real joke." But it was clear that Rick still didn't trust Chumlee enough to let him handle high-level sales, even though they had been together for years. But this wasn't the first time something like this happened on the show. While the old man was still living, Rick, Corey, Chumlee, and he sometimes had disagreements. They often disagreed about how to run the shop, with the older Harrisons doubting Corey's choices and Chumlee's intelligence and skills. The truth about reality TV shows is that the characters don't always behave the same way when they're not on the show. It's not just about Pawn Stars. This happens a lot in other shows too. The interactions that happen off-screen seem more complicated because of work boundaries, personal differences, and different things that each person is interested in. For instance, Rick's efforts to grow the pawnshop business and his participation in family arguments show how serious and sometimes heated his role is outside of the show. While Chumlee has taken on other tasks that need his attention, he has not shown any signs of doubt about his dedication to the show. He became interested in running a pawn shop, a collectibles business, and a candy store. He did a great job with all of these different companies. In 2017, he opened his own candy shop and called it Chumlee's Candy on the blow of it. Chumlee's own brand of candy, jerky, toothpicks, and other fun things are sold in the shop. Customers have said great things about the shop, giving it an amazing 4.2 star rating overall. As chums point out, Instagram has a lot of different kinds of food, from old favorites to new ones. He made a lot of money with the shop. On Instagram, he always posts new information about his businesses and fun times in his life. Fans think it's possible that Rick didn't bother with Chumlee because he had other things going on. They also think that the two had different personal lives, which may have made it harder for them to connect with each other when they weren't in front of the cameras. Even though Chumlee has had success in business, he has had problems with the law. Fans know that this made Rick unhappy because it brought bad press to the show. In 2016, Chumlee got in trouble with the law when police searched his home while looking into a sexual attack and found drugs and guns. Due to not being listed, he had to give up some of the guns. Until 2019, he was told to stay out of problems and follow the rules. Chumlee was able to stay out of trouble and his charges were lowered to misdemeanors, which stayed on his record. This is another reason Rick doesn't talk to Chumlee when they're not on camera. However, fans point out that Rick wasn't able to find a clean record either. Some people think that the fact that Chumlee often gets more attention might also have played a role in why they weren't that close. Like any other guy, Chumlee is easy for everyone to connect to. His charm makes people like him, even though he might seem normal. Many people like Chumlee because he is normal. just like some people like guys who are down to earth.